Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
How are you on the Jays today in terms of how good of a team they are?
I've never heard up and down like a toilet seat before. I mean, it's a good team. It's a good team. It's a long season. They have the 8th best record in Major League Baseball, but they're not in a playoff spot right now. So I think that, you know, they should be a lot better than they are. I don't think there's any question about that. We all thought going into the season that they would be comfortably in a playoff spot all year and have a shot at the division title, but it's just not the way it works. You know, it's not as I say so many times to so many people, it's not hockey. And it's not hockey means a lot of things. One, there aren't a lot of teams who are comfortably in a playoff spot all year long. The Blue Jays were in a playoff spot last year every day of the season, but it got a little touchy every once in a while. But also, it's not hockey in that it's very easy to overcome deficits, where in hockey it's not, because the teams ahead of you are getting points for losing games all the time, and it doesn't work like that in baseball. So, I mean, are they guaranteed to make the playoffs? No, but they never were. Nobody is. It's a very difficult game in which to make the postseason, even with the extra spots. Should they make the playoffs? Absolutely. Do I think they will? Yeah, and I think they will without much of a question when it comes down to it at the end.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Some leather-lunged New Yorker. He's cheering for the Panthers, but he's behind me, and he was making all these jokes. He's like, yeah, the Panthers are losing by a hair. You know, I heard these Florida fans are rabid, but this is ridiculous. Anyways, and then security came down. Right from everybody, because the rabbit's not hurting anybody. I was kind of hoping the rabbit would crap all over the kids.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, I'm that way. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show on a Tuesday. We're live on Game Plus Television and in Alberta and BC. That's TELUS Channel 924. Thanks to all the wonderful people that have stopped me on the streets, highways, and byways and said they watch us every day on Game Plus TV. We're also streaming on YouTube Live. And WQEE Radio down there in Noonan, Georgia. We'll be seeing those boys shortly. I'm here at Century Downs Racetrack and Casino in Calgary as it's our final week, but it's a very big week for everybody. Darren Moose-Dupont, this is the pleasantries. We're exchanging pleasantries, Moose. We'll get down to business in a moment. You're at a very exciting place in the Toronto region today, so tell us where you're at. I'm a little jealous, man. I'm a little jealous. Tell us where you're at.
And I apologize. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to have connection issues at times. But we're at the Black Diamond Golf Club for Bernie Nichols Foundation, his celebrity golf tournament today. So it's going to be lots of fun today.
Now, overall, you're fine. You're fine. So what celebrities have you seen so far? Hockey guys, people not hockey guys, celebrities from areas that we've never even thought of before. Who have you seen so far?
Yeah, they continue to trickle in, and I'll have more throughout the day to let you know about, but I've already seen Bernie. He's actually just over there greeting, shaking hands, kissing babies, talk to Damon Allen. Brad May's going to be out here. Our boy Matthew Barnaby is on the way. He's here somewhere.
Oh, boy.
So it's going to be a lot of fun today. And the folks from Bet Regal are here. I should mention they're the ones who invited me to be part of their group today.
It's funny because Karen's sitting here right now from Century Downs. She's like, what's with the cape? She goes, what's with the cape? I'm like, well, it's a robe, for one. And it's from Bet Regal. So I'm glad. Say hey to everybody, specifically Allie there at Bet Regal. And just leave the line open, Moose, as these hockey people and celebrities roll through. They can just sit down in the chair, and, man, that would be fun. So there's that. Who's calling me from Winnipeg? Don't they know we're on the air? Channel 1190, Bell MTS cable in Winnipeg. Hey, man, we're off and running. From Sportsnet Winnipeg, Sean Reynolds will be joining us in hour 1 later on. And Brendan Parker from Flames TV is going to be with us down here at Century Downs in hour 2 live. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan? And as I was saying to Karen from Century Downs, Darren, it's now time, as our residency here ends at the end of the week, it's time to go. My face is spontaneously combusting now. You know how it happens here in the Alberta dry air? Nicked myself shaving today, and I'm looking going, where's the cut? There's no cut. I'm bleeding like a stuck pig. Usually it takes a week. It's taken about 5-6 weeks, and now the hair. So I'll be heading back to the humid confines of South Florida here beginning next week. Anyways, I will tell you that the text line is open. It's for EMJ Marketing right now, 902-518-3033. Questions or comments as the show goes along, fire them at us here on your favorite daytime sports television show. And EMJ Marketing provides the right keynote speaker for your event. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com today. So point 1, Monday Night Football. Sam Howell threw for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns as the Washington Commanders defeated the Baltimore Ravens 29-28 on a last-second field goal. The loss marked the end of a 24-game preseason win streak for the Ravens, who passed the NFL record of 19. It was set by the Green Bay Packers in the 1950s. Sam Howell was still in middle school the last time the Ravens lost a preseason game back in 2015. So I really enjoyed the game. For the most part, ESPN threw the kitchen sink at the broadcast. They didn't have the Manning cast, which is fine. I wouldn't watch that anyways. But the stadium was full. Incredibly positive vibe coming out of FedEx Field with the new owner. And I don't know, Darren, is it Josh Davis, the new owner of the Washington Commanders? Why should I know who he is? Because everybody's making a really big deal about him.
They are a big deal about the whole culture in Washington has shifted. The Commanders, and you got Eric Bieniemy as the new offensive coordinator. They named Sam Howell the starting quarterback. So there's going to be a lot of fun, I think, around the Commanders. It just seems like, not that they're going to light the world on fire and be a Super Bowl contender, but there's an air of positivity and optimism around this group. So they're going to be a lot of fun this year, and a team that I think we're going to pay a little bit of attention to.
But that owner, should I know him? Because I don't know him, but should I know him? Why is he so
you
famous?
Shouldn't.
Okay. He's just another rich guy.
But I think he's another rich guy, and I think just because of the Daniel Snyder thing, and now you've got kind of this new era, I think that's why he's jumping on the off the pages here.
Okay, well, they're just treating him like he's the next one, and it just tells you how badly they wanted an ownership change. By the way, just checking in from the comments from the streaming, Buffalo Bill writes in, he says, greetings from cloudy Noonan, North Dakota. I miss the mountains. And he says, will the Elks be on time again this week and win 2 in a row and start a long winning streak? I don't know. We're not there yet. But as far as the mountains, we're here for a few more days out in the Calgary region and Century Downs Racetrack and Casino, so you can come out and visit us. And we don't necessarily have to be here for you to come visit, but the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association World Finals are here this week. You can get your tickets at showpass.com, and one of the drivers, Dustin Gorst, I should have mentioned this, is going to be with us in the last segment today in overtime for OT Hockey Lanes here in Calgary. So there's that. So that was 1A, Monday Night Football. I'm listening to the coverage this morning. Everybody's saying it was the greatest preseason game of all time. It might have actually been. I don't think that they're exaggerating because I watched it. 29-28. I cared right down to the last second. Is this streak going to end? And it did end. So bravo, NFL. They brought the full chutzpah, and it paid off. Now, point 1B, the Indianapolis Colts are allowing disgruntled running back Jonathan Taylor to seek out a trade partner. He remains on the NFL's PUP list because of off-season ankle surgery. He's also seeking a contract extension before his current deal expires after this season. I don't know where you are on there. I see we have viewers this morning from Indianapolis tuned in, including Carlos. Maybe I'd like to get his take on this. It brings up our poll question today, Darren, for Key Auto Group, and that is, well, with the Key Auto Group, most vehicles receive a lifetime engine warranty guaranteed. Go to keyautogroup.ca/the Key Advantage for eligibility and maintenance requirements. The Key Auto Group, here to take care of you. The poll question is, will Jonathan Taylor play for the Indianapolis Colts this year? And 65% of respondents are saying, no, he won't. Jonathan Taylor is still on his rookie contract, as I just said. He is, Darren, without question, one of the top 5 running backs in the National Football League. He might actually be top 3. And I'm going to vote that, yes, he will play, because the players very rarely ever win out in these situations. The employees very rarely ever win out over the employer. But there are 2 factors that Jonathan Taylor could be looking at. 1, he could just elect to sit all year. And 2, he might find a willing trade partner and be dealt. But it's not going to happen now, a couple of weeks away for the start of regular season. So I think that he plays for the Colts this year, that he doesn't win this dispute. But other than that, I don't really care about millionaires and billionaires fighting about their money. Nobody cares about my money problems, if I had any. Why should I care about theirs? Same goes for the soccer program. I just don't care. Can we play the game? But what are you voting? Does he play for the Colts or not this year?
I'm gonna vote that he won't. I think once you open the door, it's hard to go backwards. Once you decide, okay, you don't want to be here, we're going to let you find somebody else. It's hard to pull that back. Now, his agent will go out and try and facilitate a trade, and will he be able to facilitate something that Jim Irsay and the Colts will actually want back? I don't know. We don't see trades that often in the National Football League. But I think once a relationship gets soured like this to the point where now both sides have said they're open to a trade, I think that's where it's headed. Whether it happens right away or happens midway through the season, I don't think he plays for the Colts.
Wow. Well, I think that he plays out his contract, and I just can't see a team making a deal for him. Now, the salary cap is set. Unless there was an injury to a team, I just can't see it happening in the middle of training camp. Point 2, the Toronto Blue Jays, who have won 2 in a row, open an important 3-game series tonight in Baltimore, trailing the red-hot Mariners now by a game for the 3rd and final wild-card playoff berth. Lefty Yusei Kikuchi will be on the hill for the Jays, while Grayson Rodriguez will pitch for the American League leading Orioles, who have won 3 straight. Sportsnet's got the game. Point 3, I promised this yesterday, and I saw a Flames blogger opining on Twitter yesterday, and it'll always be Twitter to me, that this is the longest offseason ever. And while he came across like a teenage kid in the back of the car, this is the longest drive ever. It actually is. Because the Flames missed the playoffs. When your team misses the playoffs, man, that's 2 more months of an offseason than Florida had or Vegas had. So I know that it sucks. And that was my key to talk about things, Darren, that we always talk about this time of year. Reminded me. Is my divisional predictions. And I said that we would go each day a different division here on the RP show. Yeah. So today, it's the Atlantic Division. And I knew you spent some time on this. And if I may for 1 second, this is why hockey is my #1 sport. An old hockey guy, an old scout by the name of Glenn Crawford taught me one time how to pick who's the toughest division in any sport. Now, I transferred that to football, and it worked really well there. But I wrote this down. Like, add up the wins by each division, and it'll tell you who's the toughest division. I understand they play within the division they play each other more than anybody else. But it's a pretty good indicator of what the toughest divisions are in the National Hockey League, or any league for that matter. It was Glenn Crawford in Red Deer. So if anybody's watching in Red Deer and knows Croft, tell him I said hey, and I was listening, even though it didn't seem like I was that day when he was telling me. The Atlantic Division, Darren, was the toughest division in the NHL last year. They had 44 wins. The Atlantic Division. And that's where we're starting today with my predictions. The next toughest division was the Metropolitan Division. They had 324 wins. Next, the Central Division, where the Winnipeg Jets reside, they had 323 wins. And based on Croft's formula, let's just call it Croft's theorem, the Pacific Division was the weakest division, and quite frankly, by far, with 315 wins as a group. Now, if you average them all, you take those wins and divide them by the 8 teams, the Atlantic Division averaged 44 wins, Met Division averaged 41, the Central Division averaged 40, and the Pacific Division averaged only 39. And to put a cherry on top, the Stanley Cup champion came from the weakest division in the National Hockey League, the Pacific Division. What do you think about that?
How about that? How about that? And you know what? You say the Atlantic's the toughest. You know, the team that made it to the Cup final and lost, the Florida Panthers, they were the last team to make the playoffs on the last day of the season. That's how tough the division is. And that's how close the gap is from, first to eighth in that division. I think, you gave me some really tough homework coming up with these rankings. I stewed over this for a while.
Okay, well, here are mine. And, by the way, Jack from Vulcan, Alberta, I was wondering where he was. He says, I'm back. Been very busy with football, so I've been absent for watching my favorite live sports talk show on the planet, the RP Show. Thank you, Jack. I was going to text you, but I didn't want to bother you. Troy in Toronto writes in and says, and this is why Darren moved to Toronto. He's so dedicated to the RP Show, he moved to grow the broadcast. I'm glad to have him here in the center of the universe. And the sad thing is, he doesn't even say that facetiously. He actually thinks that. And that's fine. Let's let him think that. So here's my Atlantic Division predictions. Are you ready for the 2022-23 NHL season? Number one, the Toronto Maple Leafs. They've made the changes. They've got their general manager fired, so they'll be playing guilty probably till at least Christmas. Austin Matthews playing for a contract, right? It looks like Toronto's got a lot to play for, and they'll be number one in the division. Number two, the Florida Panthers. I know they're coming off injuries, and I know it was a long season, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to be great. The Florida Panthers will be the second team in the Atlantic Division. Third, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Florida will be the greatest state for NHL watching this year, and I'll be there. Fourth will be the Buffalo Sabres, if that's the cutoff line. One of those teams had to make a step up, and I believe it'll be the Buffalo Sabres. They're probably the most exciting young team in the NHL right now. The Boston Bruins have lost too much. They've just lost too much. It's over for Boston. They're fifth. Sixth will be the Detroit Red Wings. Like Justin Trudeau, they're just not ready. Seventh, speaking of Ottawa, will be Ottawa, the Senators. And last place, sorry to say, will be Les Montreal Canadiens. Les Canadiens de Montreal. And they're coming, but they're nowhere near ready. They'll be good, but not this year. They'll be last place in the division. Again, Toronto, Florida, Tampa, Buffalo, Boston, Detroit, Ottawa, Montreal. Read him and weep.
How about that?
Whose are yours? Whose are yours, Moose?
Yeah, I'm with you a little bit. Close. I've got Toronto number one and Florida number two. I actually have Buffalo at number three. And I think Buffalo is going to make the biggest jump in the division. I really do. I think they're ready to take that next step. So I'll go Toronto, Florida, Buffalo. I've got Boston and then Tampa, Detroit, Ottawa, Montreal. So very close to yours, but I think Buffalo is going to make the biggest jump in the entire division. And I'm with you. I think Boston takes a bit of a step backwards. I really do this year. And Florida will be better. Coming off that cup run, I think there's a lot of confidence in that locker room, and I think they'll translate that into a better regular season than they had last year.
Mentioned it. Thank you, Darren, for that. Write them down, please, and put them in a desk drawer. We never do look them up at the end of the year, but just save them. Well, I have them all here, and actually last year's were surprisingly close. And I will also say this, as this will be my third season covering the National Hockey League full-time, don't let it be said that the season's too long or it's a year-round league, because it ain't. People that really love the NHL and hockey are missing it right now, and that includes me. And Carlos in Indianapolis regarding the Colts situation in our poll question, he says, Jim Irsay, the owner, said earlier this month that Taylor won't be traded. That's quite the change of heart if they're considering testing the trade waters with him. So we got a lot of topics to get to, and we haven't even touched on the CFL yet, plus our randoms. So that's next. Moose is live from the Bernie Nichols Foundation Golf Classic and in Toronto, and I'm at the Century Downs Racetrack and Casino. Will return after this brief pause on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We're live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino. As you can see, a beautiful day in Cowtown. The World Professional Chuck Wagon Association World Finals coming your way beginning Wednesday to Sunday here at Century Downs. Get your tickets at showpass.com. One of the drivers, Dustin Gorst, is going to be joining us later on in hour 2. So I'm in Calgary. Moose is at the Bernie Nichols Foundation Golf Classic in Toronto. And just before I continue with the topics, have you seen anybody famous in the break, Moose? Anybody new and famous? Tell me.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys out here, and they're asking about you, especially guys like Barnaby. I just saw him across the way. I just hooked up with Ali and Erica from Bet Regal in that commercial break, so they're going around getting some footage. It's going to be a fun day. It really is.
Okay, good stuff. We won't hold you up much longer. I know you got to go golf. Okay, regarding our Atlantic Division predictions, Colin in Ottawa says, keep sleeping on the Sens, boys. We'll be there at the end of the regular season. I'm sure you will be, but will you be there in the playoffs? That's a hard no from me, dog. Jay in Winnipeg says, yo, Roddy, who's the Jets' second-line center? Cole Perfetti. Jay. Jack Fulton says, Rod, I got a message for you. He says, Rod, I got a message for you from Cameron Judge. Rod's my guy. Thank you. I love me some Cam Judge, number 4 for the Calgary Stampeders. Like me, a little misunderstood. Willie Jefferson says the same thing. Rod's my guy. I appreciate all those guys, and that's a wonderful CFL tie-in. Allie's checked in from Texas. She says, hey, everyone, hope everyone's doing good. We're going to get to our Central Division prediction probably Thursday. I'm thinking Metropolitan Division for Wednesday. And we'll wind it all up on our last day here on Friday with the Pacific Division, where we reside, or at least I do. I know you got to go. Hey, Moose, when you got to run, just put your hand in the air and take off. Okay? You're good for now?
I'm good. Anytime in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. The CFL notes are these. The number one note, and it's a good thing that the fans are as interested in this. The Edmonton Elks, the TSN broke the story again last night, are about to hire Rick Lawlisher as their interim president, replacing the outgoing Victor Cui. And it's the Rod Pedersen Show. People want to know my thoughts. I've known Rick a really long time, and I've spent a lot of time with Rick and around Rick. Rick's a solid guy. I never found anybody that would say a bad word about Rick Lawlisher. He was the Eskimos president way back in the day. Most recently coming off being the president of the BC Lions, and they seem to be doing something great. I don't know how much credit Rick gets, but they did a lot of winning when he was in Edmonton. Think he did a good enough job in BC. Who else are you going to get but Rick Lawlisher? I don't know enough about it, okay? But if the board and the chairman are above everybody else, I still think they're the problem. This could still be a case of rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. They still got a lot of problems to clean up, and I'm not sure Rick is the guy. This is frontline roll-up-your-sleeves type stuff, and I don't know if Rick is that type of guy or not. I don't know. But at least he's got a proven track record, so it's something. You?
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know. I haven't been around the league nearly as long as you have, or have as intimate of a relationship with it in my shorter career. But you know what? I don't think today is the time to roll up your sleeves and start getting the barnacles off the bottom of the boat. You're in the middle of the season. You're out on the open water. You just need to steady the ship and keep the boat afloat until you can get to shore, which I would say is the end of the season. So I think when they say interim for Rick Lawlisher, I don't think there's intention here of him coming in and taking this job for the next decade or two. Maybe, but I think this is just about steadying the ship, getting everybody comfortable, getting through the season, and then getting to work on fixing the real problems once the season's over.
I guess that's my point. I feel like the team is just they're in a wildfire.
Yes, it's
and
chaos.
Rick is coming with a bucket of water.
Yes.
What do you expect him to do? Right? So that's what I'm saying. I think it's kind of what you're saying. So again, Rick's got a proven track record, but I don't know the ins and outs of that organization well enough to know, is he a roll-up-your-sleeves kind of guy? Because some of the presidents that I've worked with are, and we had success, and others are not. And they couldn't name the receptionist's name or Susie from the ticket office because they don't care. I don't know Rick well enough if he's that kind of guy or not. By the way, our CFL coverage is brought to you in part by Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beer. Check them out at sobercarpenter.com. We'll let Moose go here right away because that's got a lot of comments coming in, everybody, on the streams and on the text line for EMJ Marketing, and then I'll address those and let Moose take off. But point 5, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers could have star quarterback Zach Collaros back under center when they host the Montreal Alouettes on Thursday night. The two-time CFL outstanding player practiced with the team yesterday as he works his way back from a neck injury. The Bombers have won 4 in a row, with the last 2 victories coming after Drew Brown replaced Collaros at QB. Did we lose Moose? I just see him went off the screen. Okay, so bring him back in, please. So what do you think about, for Winnipeg, they're that good, quite frankly, that they can win without Zach Collaros. So, again, he ran the practice. Yeah. I assume he's going to play this week. It just tells you what a luxury that the Bombers are. They flubbed it in the Grey Cup last year and shouldn't have. It would have been a 3-peat, but they had a field goal to win it, blocked. But they're all that. They're still the marquee team of the CFL, and to me, this proves it. They could probably beat Montreal without Drew Brown.
Yeah, Drew Brown as quarterback, I mean, this team has such a luxury, so there's no need to rush Zach back. Zach knows when he's ready to go. And let's remember, he's been really healthy in Winnipeg, but it wasn't that long ago. He was in Sask, and he was dealing with all the injuries. And so I think you still need to be careful. Winnipeg's done a tremendous job with him. I wouldn't rush him back because you have Drew Brown there and who's played really well. So I'd be very careful with Zach. But when he's good to go, he's going to tell you. They have such a luxury, though. No need to rush him back and risk any injury. This is the first real sign of anything we've seen, really, in his time in Winnipeg.
Okay, Moose, I'm going to let you go. Whom are you golfing with today?
To be honest, I haven't even checked, so we're going to find out soon. And I'll put a few snaps up on the RPShow Instagram story. So go check that out today.
Okay, Moose, you're getting busy. Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is the absolute best daytime talk show on the air, sports or otherwise, the RP Show. I mean, how about that? The guy is literally in Toronto at the Bernie Nichols Foundation Golf Classic, and all our good friends are there. Hey, if I like golf, I'd be really jealous of them, but I just don't like golf, but you all know that. But I would go there and ride around in a cart. That's always fun, too. Yeah, a lot of stories just popped into my head while doing that. Want to hear one? Touchdown Atlantic, Moncton, 2019. I was 8 months out of being the voice of the Rough Riders. So I rode around in a cart in Moncton. I think it was the Moncton Golf Club. Any of you people in Moncton watching? Tell me the name of the golf course, the most popular golf course there in Moncton. Rode around with Leo Ezrins, the head of the CFL Alumni Association, just the two of us. Oh, we had a blast. And we came upon one of the teams that was booked was four CFL staffers. And one of the guys, I don't even know if he's still with the league anymore. He came over to our cart, and he was hanging on the roof of our cart. He was hanging in it. You know how they do. And I said, how's the round? How's the day? And he says, well, Rod, it's okay. We don't do any work at the CFL office. That's what I hear from you all the time. We're out here golfing all the time. So, yeah, we're having a great day golfing because we don't work. That's what I hear from Leo, hit it. Let's go. Yeah. That's why when I was on the radio show in Eastern Canada last week with Arnaud Gascon-Nadon, the former linebacker of the Red Blacks, and he said, oh, we have CFL ambassador Rod Pedersen with us. I'm like, are you sure? Anyways, that was that guy's problem, not mine. Jeff writes in on the EMJ Marketing text line, 902-518-3033. He says, hey, Rod and Moose, I just landed in Hamilton. I'm starting the cross-country drive back to Edmonton tomorrow with my stepson, DeAndre, with a pit stop at IJ Field on Thursday for the Bombers' Als game. Should be fun. Have a good show. Thanks for joining us, Jeff, in Hamilton, now living in Edmonton. Come on down. I guess we won't see you. We won't see you this time at Century Downs, but I know you've come down earlier this summer to see us, so drive safe on that cross-country trip. Everybody's showing up here today. We'll be right. I didn't think you'd do it. I did not think you'd stop. I appreciate that. Speaking of people on their way through, this is Karen, by the way, with Century Downs. Let you guys. Chuck, you're out here for baseball, right, Chuck? Got canceled. Okay. Well, you came to Century Downs. You came to the right place. John is watching in Rosetown, and I don't know how or why this came up, but he says there's always lots of excuses from the losing team. You got beat. Deal with it. No mention of Emilus making a play of the year and a third-string quarterback beating one of the league's best. This was John referring to yesterday, and Kevin the Medium joining us. This was actually funny. The BC Lions fan, Kevin the Medium, who's not with us today because he's doing his actual job, and that's sales for the RP show. But he came on here, and I thought we were going to have to get him like a crying towel or a box of tissues that his BC Lions lost in Sask on Sunday. Rick writes in from Martinsville on the EMJ Marketing text line. He says, holy, I thought Rider fans cried a lot. Wah, wah, wah. Where's the sound effects today? 902-518-3033. I thought it was just, we were just having fun, kibitzing with Kevin the Meat Team yesterday, but his team lost. Like the guy said, deal with it. Interesting. Just checking in here. Jay in Winnipeg says, Darren Bombing. He is of Bonfire Sports in Winnipeg. He says, has Caleros as a go. So there's no conjecture over whether he's going to play or not, which makes sense. Ted in Red Deer says, I'm not sure the Habs fans are going to take being in last place another season too well. Are you talking about my prediction that they're going to be in last place, or that they're going to actually be in last place? Because they don't have a goalie, and it's awesome to say that you're one of the best young teams in the National Hockey League, but Montreal's really young, like really young. So they're young and good, but they're too young. Look at the division. It's the toughest division in the National Hockey League. I gave you the statistical evidence as to why. Toronto, Florida, Tampa Bay, Buffalo, those are the playoff teams. I got Boston and Detroit missing. You know, I think there's a very good chance that Montreal is going to be in last place, and they're just going to have to deal with it. Oh, boy, you want to talk about pressure cookers? It drove Carey Price crazy, and he'd tell you that. It drove him nuts. We're going to take a timeout, come back with a sports update. Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet Winnipeg, because we're very big in Winnipeg. Channel 1190, Bell MTS cable there. We'll talk Jets and maybe a little Bombers when we come back. Brendan Parker coming up in hour 2 from Flames TV. Dustin Gorst, professional chuck wagon driver with the World Finals here. He's going to come up later on in hour 2. So we'll return after this brief pause on Game Plus TV. WQEE podcast and YouTube Live.
Century Downs Racetrack and Casino presents the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association Finals. Be here when the wagons roll August 23rd to 27th. Single-day tickets and 5-day passes available at showpass.com. Century Downs, welcome to the winner's zone.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. more speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino, the RP Show continues on a beautiful Tuesday, and on cue, a lot of Winnipeggers checking in today with questions. By the way, Jake in Calgary says, have you heard any credibility from what you're hearing about Patrick Waugh being added to the Sens front office? Well, I just texted his agent, so stay tuned. We'll see what they say. Yeah, but for a Jets update, let's bring him in now. Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet Winnipeg. And before we get into the hardcore hockey talk, he's got the nice flow going. How's the summer been, Sean?
It's good. It's flow season, I find. You don't have to be quite as clean cut as when you're doing the Hockey Night in Canada stuff. So, yes, it is. Flow season for hockey players is typically in the middle of the winter. Mine is I'm right in the heart of it.
That's good. That's good. How's the summer been in Winnipeg overall?
Well, it's great. We went out west for a little bit and went rolling through Saskatchewan and Calgary and all those places, got out into the mountains, and we know all the issues that are happening out there with the fires and the smoke and all that. So I think we consider ourselves fairly lucky here in Manitoba. I think we feel it's a bit of a hidden gem here. A lot of other provinces don't really know about the lake life that we have out here, and we haven't been as plagued with the smoke as most places in Canada. So we thank our lucky stars for that.
It's interesting. I was talking to an oil friend buddy of mine from southeastern Saskatchewan talking about the wildfires, and we're putting our heads together going, something that's never happened in Saskatchewan. And we went back a long ways. So we're very fortunate about that. Sean, how long before the Jets get going? Shouldn't be too long now, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, I'm a big believer. So there's a lot of people who suggest that going forward, the Jets are going to hold on to guys like Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele and carry them into the season and maybe trade them at the trade deadline next year. It's a possibility. I don't see it happening. The Jets have already come out and said that they are no doubt trying to reload. They're not rebuilding, they're reloading. What we saw from them in their trade of Pierre-Luc Dubois shows exactly that. Everyone I've talked to essentially says the same thing within the organization. And what that means is I think that the clock is ticking on moving those two players. Why? Well, if you take a look at what kind of returns you get during the season, which is very hard because trades do not happen very often during the season, and especially at the trade deadline, which would be the next stop for when you trade these players. Let's say you're the Tampa Bay Lightning and you're trying to load up to try and win another cup, and you say, we're going to take a look at Mark Scheifele, we're going to bring him in here. Well, what are you sending back to the Jets? You're not sending reloading players. You are sending futures and adding Mark Scheifele to your team to get better. You're not trying to break even and send Steve Stamkos to the Jets for Mark Scheifele. You are sending futures. So if the Jets are truly intent on rebuilding, I think the window for that, not rebuilding, retooling, I think the window for that is closing because it gets so much harder to do that during the season and especially at the trade deadline.
I saw a comment today. Somebody said this threatens to overshadow camp, the futures of Hellebuck and Scheifele, and will they be moved or not? And I thought that would be a shame if it did. Could that happen, though?
Well, I think it can, but I also think that this is a team that is used to operating under those pressures. Like if you think back all the way to kind of the genesis, the beginning of the Winnipeg Jets in Winnipeg and the Evander Kane situation. I mean, this is a guy who behind the scenes was asking to get out for a number of years. And Kevin Cheveldayoff did not move this player until he got what he wanted for him. He got a great haul back. But in the meantime, and we know this from talking to players within that dressing room, it was taxing for the Winnipeg Jets players behind the scenes. It came to a head. We all know the big story and the tracksuit and all that kind of stuff. That's the result of Kevin Cheveldayoff keeping a player that probably should have been moved out of the dressing room in that dressing room until he could get what he wanted for it. Maybe there's a lesson to be learned in there, but if you're talking about it overshadowing camp, I think it can, and I think that can have an effect on the players. But I will dare say the Winnipeg Jets, they did it last year with Pierre-Luc Dubois. They are used to operating under that cloud of a player wanting out, making it known, and knowing that that player could be going at any time. This is just the way things go in Winnipeg under Kevin Cheveldayoff.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sean, I would love to sit sometime, because whenever I see you, it's just a breeze by, right? It's always so busy. Just to sit and talk about stuff like this. Like Chevy, his job's to assemble a talented team. Yeah. He's done that. Right? They were a playoff team last year. And in terms of where the lines all slot in, because people are asking me today who's the second line center of the Jets, I'm like, there's so many good, exciting young pieces there. That's what training camp's for. This should be an exciting time for the Jets, not have a dang cloud hanging over it. And I think Chevy's done a good job.
Well, I agree with you, and I think he's done a really good job of putting together assets. And I think the cupboards got a little bit bare there for a while as the Jets figured they had the core and the nucleus they needed to compete and win a cup. It didn't turn out that way. I think what Kevin Cheveldayoff is not lacking when it comes to assembling talent on his roster, I think he was lacking in the way of kind of putting this finger on the pulse of what was happening in the dressing room and trying to keep, the culture right in the dressing room, the chemistry right in the dressing room. But he has kind of reloaded here. There's some young pieces to get excited about, which is why, Rod, for the life of me, I can't understand why the Jets are so loath to go down the rebuilding path. I really do think if you take a look at the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, you get 3 players back, and I understand what the Jets are trying to do. They've had a lot of talent in the past. They're trying to get to be a harder team to play against. I say they look like they're trying to go down the road of a team like the Seattle Kraken, right? Harder to play against, not as deep when it comes to talent, but a team that's just harder to play against, grittier, and may take you deeper into the playoffs. I think that they achieved that with those 3 players, but I don't think that, with the 3 players that they get in return for Pierre-Luc Dubois, you're kind of hitting the heights the way that you did with Pierre-Luc Dubois, and conversely with, Jack Roslovic and Patrick Laine, who you needed to move to get Pierre-Luc Dubois. I think the only way you do that is if you kind of swing for the fences, take the chance and move a player like Scheifele and Hellebuck for some future assets that could be the next big thing. I don't think if you're retooling, you turn those players into the next big thing. I think you turn the Jets into a hard to play against team, and maybe that's where they need to go. But I do think, especially with 2 big assets like that, there should be room to swing for the fences if you're moving Hellebuck and Scheifele and try and find that next star who's, just still playing junior or that draft pick, and letting your staff see if they can't turn it into something. It would be a different philosophy than they're preaching right now, but I still think there's room for that philosophy.
Well, I think their teams are loath to go down the rebuild road because you're just signing your death papers as a coach at a GM, for at least admitting it. And 2, lastly, because we got about 90 seconds, about 90 seconds. I don't think it's the GM's job to set culture. I don't. I think it's the coach, and you hope he's going to be supported by the GM. Was it a breakdown between Pomo and Chevy? Because they're 2 great men that they just couldn't see eye to eye, or what's your summation of how that just didn't work out?
Well, I'm going to say I disagree with you on that because I do think that there are obvious signs of clashes within the dressing room, and it becomes the general manager's room to maybe remove the issues, right? So the coaches that were dealing with Evander Kane for all of those years, they had to deal with Evander Kane. If they got to a point where they felt they couldn't deal with him anymore, I think then it's incumbent upon the GM to move that player out for the sake of culture. And I do think the Jets culture suffered for a number of years because of that. I've said this. I think that there was a tier system in place underneath Paul Maurice where there were certain players that were untouchable and other players that no matter what they did could kind of get, achieve what they should have been achieving based on what they'd given to the team. I think that tier system needed to be broken. And again, I guess if we are saying that it's incumbent upon the coach, Paul Maurice was around for a real long time. And from that 2018 year where the Jets looked like they were going to assume the crown as one of the best teams in the NHL, their results actually went down and down and down every single year after that until Paul Maurice was gone. If you're the general manager and culture has an issue to do with that, then it's incumbent upon you to address your coach. He didn't do that. The coach had to remove himself from the situation when it became apparent that things just weren't working. So I wouldn't let Chevy off the hook when it comes to culture. I think he's a big part of the culture that has existed in Winnipeg and really ultimately failed such a talented squad that had so much promise.
Great answer, great debate, and that's the one thing. When the situation's not going to change, what needs to change? You.
No doubt.
Pomo, and he's laughing now. Rennie, Sean, thank you for this. Rennie, appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the summer.
Anytime. Thanks for having me on, Rod.
Audience takeovers next on the Sports Update. Brendan Parker of Flames TV live down here in Hour 2 at Century Downs. We'll be back after this brief pause on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
RP Show continues. There is the scene of the crime. Calm before the storm, maybe a little better. World Professional Chuck Wagon Association World Finals starting on Wednesday. That's tomorrow. Going through the weekend. Get your tickets at showpass.com. Okay, welcome to my world, okay? We had a text or a comment come in from Jake earlier from Calgary. He said, Rod, any truth to the rumor of Patrick Waugh joining the Ottawa Senators? I texted his agent 10 minutes ago. The answer from the agent is nothing yet. That seems to have triggered an avalanche of comments here. Mark has written in on the EMJ Marketing text line. Mark is in Burlington, Ontario. He says, Rod, I heard from a good source that Dave Foxcroft is going down to officiate in the Big Ten after the Labor Day weekend. Can you confirm? This from Kirk in Toronto. Hi, Rod. It's Kirk in Toronto. I was wondering if you could possibly do the Great RP Show from here in Toronto at Woodbine Racetrack and Casino. You could see the Argos, Ticats, Blue Jays, Leafs games. I think RP Show fans here in the GTA would like to see the show live. I know I would. Cheers. Take a number, brah. We'll get to you when we can. Today's busy. Tomorrow not looking likely either, but we'll get to it. Karen Brendan, Karen. She came down to meet you, so from Flames TV. Working on a can't do it all, man. Sports update, the New York Knicks are suing the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors head coach and a former Knicks employee, saying the workers stole thousands of videos and other scouting secrets to give to his new Canadian employer, the Raptors. The lawsuit filed in Manhattan federal court seeks unspecified damages. The Knicks said the theft occurred in recent weeks during the departure of the employee who since August of 2021 has directed the planning, organizing, and distribution of all video scouting responsibilities for the Knicks coaching staff. By the way, I don't know about Dave Foxcroft. No clue. But is he not still reffing in the CFL? He's not going to bounce in the middle of the season. I don't think he would. Left-handed pitcher Yusei Kikuchi gets the start as the Blue Jays open a pivotal series against the Orioles in Baltimore tonight. The Jays are looking to narrow the gap on the red-hot Seattle Mariners, who hold a one-game lead over the Jays now for the final American League wildcard spot. Tampa Bay Lightning forward Brandon Hagel has signed an 8-year, $52 million deal. Extension, the 24-year-old from Saskatoon, Sask, had 30 goals and 31 assists in 82 games in his first full season with the Lightning last season. The new contract will begin in 2024-25. Brandon Hagel spent parts of 2 seasons with the White Court Wolverines of the AJ, and then 4 seasons with the Red Deer Rebels, 3 full seasons with the Chicago Blackhawks, and then the Tampa Bay Lightning, where he won. You won a Stanley Cup there? Yeah, I thought he did. Yeah. Congratulations, Brandon Hagel. We're very proud of you. And to the Lightning as well. Last minute of play in the RP Show, Hour 1. RP Show Sports Update is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas in theaters. Now, Strays. Abandoned on the mean city streets by his low-life owner, Doug, a naive but lovable dog named Reggie, falls in with a fast-talking, foul-mouthed Boston Terrier and his gang of strays. Determined to seek revenge, Reggie and his new canine pals embark on an epic adventure to get him home and make Doug pay for his dirty deed. Starring Will Ferrell and Jamie Foxx, Strays in Landmark Cinemas now. Coming up next hour, Brendan Parker from Flames TV and Chuck Wagon Pro driver Dustin Gorst after this brief pause on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio.
about that?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Some leather-lunged New Yorker. He's cheering for the Panthers, but he's behind me, and he was making all these jokes. He's like, yeah, the Panthers are losing by a hair. I heard these Florida fans are rabid, but this is ridiculous. Anyways, and then security came down. Woo, right from everybody, because the rabbit's not hurting anybody. I was kind of hoping the rabbit would crap all over the kids.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. It's hour 2, coming in hot, live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino. It's another day. This is the fastest 2 hours in sports. I'm telling you, it is. Here on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, podcast, and, of course, YouTube Live. As we're in the middle or just kind of kicking off our final week here at Century Downs, real big week. Let's bring in Brendan Parker. We're bringing in all the heavyweights in our final week. Brendan Parker from Flames TV. How you doing, BP?
Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. How are you?
Summer's wrapped up. You ready to go to work, it seems like to me?
We're turning the corner. I've been in hockey rinks the last 2 nights. getting ready for my kids' hockey, so I think that's the first sign. And yeah, we're ready to go. We're getting ready for hockey around the corner.
That's the sense you get, is that you can feel it. Yeah. It's that nip in the air.
Got the jacket on today.
Yeah, exactly.
The shorts are they're not put away, but they're used less frequently.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks. We talked a lot of NFL and CFL last hour, and it's not that you're cool with talking that. You'll be fine. But when you got a guy here from Flames TV, you don't waste the time. We're going to talk National Hockey League here in hour 2. I made my Atlantic Division predictions. Moose made his. Off the top of your head, we're not going to hold them to you, Brendan. We'll get yours. There is some news in the CFL today that I do want to drop. And by the way, you can tell the horses are here for the Chuck Wagons because the flies have arrived. You'd think this is the Agrodome back in the day in Regina. Agribition just in town? Yeah, exactly. Right, flies everywhere. Oh, yeah, the Cowboys are here.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk Chucks, you said.
Yeah, well, I just, we wrapped up the Stampede this year. It was sensational. I got to host the Chuck Wagons for the 3rd straight year on Sportsnet this year through the Calgary Stampede, and spent a lot of time around the drivers, and love those guys and the families. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it all wraps up. Chance Vegan, I think I was just looking at it today because they just wrapped up in one of their last events, the Rockies. And Chance Vegan, Jamie Labicane right there at the top going for a world title. So, yeah, I spent some time around him this summer. It's been a lot of fun.
What a contrast, by the way, because I watch you at the Saddle Dome on the big screen. You're interviewing the Flames players. To go from that to the Chuck Wagon drivers, it couldn't be much more different.
Not at all. I got a lot of comments because, you throw on the cowboy hat and play a cowboy on TV for 10 days. And, yeah, but you know what? It's a contrast, but we were just kind of talking about this. I mean, I think it's great fun. It's awesome to be able to throw yourself into something completely different. Obviously, you go and you do the research, you go to do the background, and it's nice to just try something totally different, meet some new people, and in this case, talk a little Chuck Wagon racing for about 10 days, 2 weeks.
How much were you into Chucks before that?
Quite a bit, because when I worked at Global for 8 years prior to that, and when Stampede takes over, it's the same thing. It's rodeo and it's Chuck Wagon. So I did rodeo 3 years ago for the Calgary Stampede 2 on the telecast. And then, but when the Chucks and rodeo took over during Stampede Week, it's all we talked about at Global Sports too. So, I followed it a lot back then, and really ever since I got into Calgary, even going back to my Shaw days, I was part of the broadcast
crew. You can't not.
You have to be. You got
you just get immersed. Yeah. The difference here, folks, if I may, just before we get to the NHL talk, the difference between Saskatchewan, where I lived a half century, and Calgary, where I did go to college, but that was a different era, to now.
Yeah.
If you see a guy in Sask wearing a cowboy hat and boots, he's a cowboy.
Yeah.
You know that.
For sure.
Here,
you don't know.
He could be a banker. He could be a bus
in
driver.
Accounting, or
like it's some like, how do I know whether to trust you? What if there's a damsel in distress?
Yeah.
That's what a cowboy's for.
The first tell is, are they actually cowboy boots or are they just dress shoes?
That's
the first obvious tell. Is it a cowboy hat and some dress shoes with long jeans, or is it actually cowboy boots? There's one obvious tell. But this city, and I will say this though, right? I don't know if you were around. I think you were gone, but during that 10 days of Stampede, this year felt like going back away. I don't even know what year it would have been, but it felt like the energy in the city. Downtown was vibrant. The Stampede grounds were packed every single night. Yeah. The grandstand was packed. This city had a buzz going back a number of years that we haven't had. I mean, I think we're probably looking at, 2018, somewhere in there, but I think the attendance was, close to a record, maybe the top
Which would
3.
be what, 1 million?
Yeah, well, it was like, I think it's 1.2, somewhere in there. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it's somewhere in the, over 100,000 per day. So, if you go, and that would include sneak a peek, I would assume. So you're looking at 11 days there. So huge attendance, and packed.
So, what's funny about that is the first day of Stampede was the day I flew out of here to go to Charlotte, North Carolina for the aforementioned USA Football National Flag Championships, and Jock Wilson, the host of Calgary Stampeders radio broadcast, the football team, said, "You're already an honorary Calgarian. You got the hell out of here."
That's right.
Well, Stampede was on. I'm like, hey, you say energy, packed, lived it, been there, bought the T-shirt. I'm good. I'm old now.
Yeah.
So, off the top of my head for fun.
Yes.
Because I was just thinking the other day.
Yeah.
What triggered my mind was I saw a Flames blogger going, longest off season ever. And I'm like, well, of course, when your team misses the playoffs, it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this is usually the time of year that I do my day-by-day divisional predictions. So we're starting today with the Atlantic Division, and this is what I do believe. I spent at least 3 minutes on this.
Okay.
Studying it.
Yeah.
Toronto, 1. Florida, 2. Tampa, 3. Buffalo, 4. There's your cutoff line.
Yeah.
Missing the playoffs, Boston, Detroit, Ottawa, Montreal. Haven't had a huge argument from anybody.
Okay.
And
so you have Boston out, is that what you said?
Yeah, I just
Boston
think...
out? Yeah. There's a lot of change there.
Yeah.
Yep.
They've had a good run, and when you lose Krejci and Bergeron, not to mention Bertuzzi, Taylor Hall, guys that have been added along the way, where do you replace those guys?
It's hard. It's hard. I don't know. I don't know how you do that. And I know that, Marchand's a guy that obviously is still very much part of that core of that team, but also has gone through some significant injuries himself, right? And so what kind of version are you getting of him? I also always wonder about those teams that have a year like they did last year, and then obviously the disappointment in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs last year. How much of an effect does that have carrying over? I've seen versions of teams where it's almost like things came easy. I know it didn't come easy, but in a lot of ways, that team found ways to win every single time last year. And what's it going to look like if things are a little bit harder, a little bit muddier, the track's a little bit thicker? And how does that affect them? I know they still have those veterans, but when you're without those guys that are in the locker room saying like, "Oh, boys, we're fine. What effect does that have on the rest of the team? So I could see that. But so would that be a possible wild card spot?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. So top 3 in the Atlantic.
Still got the best goalie in the NHL, which means a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think your top 2 are great. I could see it flip-flopping. I wonder about Ottawa still. I still am waiting for this wild card team to start making a surge, a la, maybe even a little bit like the Kings. A team that maybe they're projecting a little bit down the line, but when you have some youth and you've got a couple of veterans, it's their goaltending for me. If they could somehow find a way to get some goaltending, then I just wonder. I don't know if it's this year. I wonder when Ottawa starts to make their move, up the standings a little bit. But I think for the most part, your top 3, I could see Florida challenging. Challenging the top. I think the Leafs are probably still, as constructed, probably one of the teams to beat in that division for sure. Who else we got? You said you had.
You got Florida? Toronto 1. Let's just.
Toronto 1.
We are on a television channel anchored out of Toronto, and the only reason I don't talk more Leafs is God knows they're covered.
They have enough coverage
ad nauseum.
Yeah.
But to say that they're going to finish first that's not to say they're going to win the Stanley Cup.
No.
But I said last hour, they got a GM fired, per se. I mean, that playing guilty is probably going to last till Christmas. Austin Matthews playing for a contract. They've added enough change. You get a new general manager there that you know very well.
Sure. Yeah.
That has a lot to prove, too. That's a nice guy that I think the players are going to want to play for. They're at least the most talented team in that division in my mind.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah. And now you take Boston. If we're looking at it like this, what we already discussed, you're taking Boston out of that top spot. The Leafs were right there outside of a historic season from Boston. So I would say that's fair. And then, Florida is an interesting one still because I think none of their pieces changed. They obviously still have a good team. But again, as we've seen with teams that go deep into the playoffs, there can be some trickle-down effect. I think, inevitably there'll be a top 3 team in that division. I believe that too. Now that 3 spot, I think Tampa's the most logical choice. I can't argue with your top 3 in that division.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, I did go to a lot of games last couple of years, actually. I'm paying attention to this. But I got to say this, Brendan, I don't know your relationship with the team or how much you're in it, but when I saw the Leafs in the playoffs lose to Florida, and I saw Boston lose to Florida, these are good teams. I saw the fear in their eyes because I watch warm-ups from ice level. It's a mental game, and I wonder why teams don't put more emphasis on the mental part of the game. Hear me out, because, I'm from Saskatchewan. We got a lot of NHL players from there. So I was talking to some guys that were in the bubble in Toronto back in the day. And I said, did you have a mental coach there working with your team to deal with being in a bubble in the isolation?
Yeah.
And they said, there was a guy, but we didn't really go talk to him. It was made available to us. If you want to go talk to a guy, here's a guy.
Yep.
And they said Tampa Bay had a full-time guy in dealing with their team individually as a group. And I'm like, and who won the Stanley Cup?
Yeah.
Tampa Bay. I just wonder why there isn't more emphasis on the mental game. Is that something that you care about at all or not?
No, I think, and maybe you could speak to this too, but I find as I get older, I care more about it, especially trying to figure out why I do what, and and how it affects everybody else around you too. But I agree with that, and I think I'll speak from a Flames perspective. I know, there's a guy around our team, fairly often, helps with the draft. Matt Brown, great guy. And and similar, I don't know how. I'm not behind the doors, so I don't see how often guys are using. But I know, for a fact that he speaks to players on a regular basis, and I think more and more teams are relying on that as an extension of the coaching staff, the management staff, because you're not always going to be able to talk to those guys in every situation. Sometimes it's about something that's off the ice. Sometimes it's just about breaking through something that you're working through, whatever it might be. And I think those guys are integral, and he's one of those guys that's around the rink all the time. And I think more than anything, it's just for those and I should say he goes, throughout the organization too, right? You go and talk to the prospects and go talk to everybody. But I think it's becoming, and maybe has been for the last 5 to 10 years, more and more important in for every player. And it's good to see that. I think it's good. I think it helps everybody. It's a long season. It's a grind, and more than physical. That's the thing.
That's the regular season, but if you ever need any more proof that the playoffs are a different season than last year, is that example. Because Bernie Nichols came on this show and he goes, before the playoffs last year, and he goes, kiss of death for the Bruins winning the President's Trophy. And I'm like, there's no way they're going to lose to Florida. Well, what happened? And the other thing, if I may, because this is a passion of mine, I know it's not for everybody else, but you look at the teams that bring in somebody to speak to their team randomly in big situations. A great example is Jennifer Botterill told me one of the Olympic gold medal games they were playing, Team Canada, Steve Yzerman came in because he was the GM of the men's team.
Right.
She goes, his speech consisted of 2 words: trust yourself. Turned around and walked out. She's like, it's a gold medal game. What are we going to say now? Just trust yourself that you know that you are the better team and go out and prove it. That's one. And then one is a good friend of mine who coaches high school football in Florida. 3-time state champions, 5A. Matt DeBuck played in the CFL, brought me in to address his team on motivation and giving your all every single day. Last year ahead of a playoff game, which they won. So it's just, you see what I'm saying? It's a different voice.
It's a different voice, And sometimes it's the timing of that voice too, right? In those moments. And if you've heard that same voice, your coach comes in, and I'm sure he said
You're tuning them out.
It's 82 times in the year, and now we're talking about playoffs. I absolutely. And you never know what's going to hit guys at different times. I mean, some of the most famous speeches that we've ever heard, sometimes are guys that are, if you look at the 1980 Olympic team, like that's a team that was, brought in and put together, and that speech isn't from somebody who's been with them for the last 24 months to a couple weeks. So, I don't know. I think the timing more than anything. And sometimes it's simplicity. Like, I love that one that you just said from
Trust
Jennifer.
yourself.
Trust yourself. What else is there to say?
And they went out and won. It speaks a lot, too, about Steve Yzerman.
Sure does.
902-518-3033 is the EMJ Marketing text line. Rose in Sherwood Park writes in, and she says, hearing talk of Evander Kane back in the day, and to see him flourish in Edmonton, you have to feel good for him and especially feel happy for Oilers fans. We will look ahead when we come back. Appreciate Brendan Parker joining us from Flames TV down here at Century Downs Racetrack and Casino. Dustin Gorst, professional chuck wagon driver, is going to be with us later on in hour 2. Get your comments and questions rolling for BP and me. We'll get to them when we come back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersenshop.com.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Century Downs Racetrack and Casino presents the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association Finals. Be here when the wagons roll August 23rd to 27th. Single-day tickets and 5-day passes available at showpass.com. Century Downs, welcome to the winner's zone.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We're back live, Century Downs Racetrack and Casino. As promised, yes, sir, Brendan Parker with us from Flames TV for one more segment, answering your questions and comments. 902-518-3033 is the number to call, or text, I guess. We're not doing calls. That's funny, BP.
We take calls?
When we started this, the guys were like, we should take calls. I'm like, no, we shouldn't.
No.
I've had that.
Every radio show would also advise against that.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're absolutely good. Have you felt Brendan Parker Flames TV with us? And I love that we're on the air in Atlanta. I was walking through Cross Iron Mills the other day, which is not even a half mile from us. What a world-class mall over here.
Yeah.
And what's that, Pro Hockey Life? You ever get in there, that store?
Yeah, absolutely. There's one right by me, too.
You got to keep me away out of that place. I'd spend so much money.
Yeah.
They have an Atlanta Flames jersey in the window. Have you seen?
Yes.
I mean, you know what they look like. They sell them at the Saddle Dome.
Of course. You know,
they're hot.
I'm gonna add a nice Sask flavor to this now, because my wife grew up in Allen, Saskatchewan,
right?
And their jersey, we used to go, the
Allen Flames.
Allen Flames. So you grow up in Saskatchewan, you'd play everywhere but Saskatoon. You'd play in the natural arenas in Aberdeen and Allen and Dalmany and Delisle. And so every time I see that, I always I gotta buy their family one of those, because
Atlanta
it's the old Allen Flames jersey that we still see. And they were last year they sold, actually we had a warm-up jersey with the A on it. We haven't brought back you'll see it in the vintage ones, but the old A for the Atlanta Flames. It's a hot seller. They had the hats out last year too. It's a big hit with our fans too, and it looks outstanding.
It does.
Yeah,
it looks so good.
Yeah.
I'll be heading to Atlanta this fall, by the way, to a Falcons game, but I don't think I'm going to show up in a hockey jersey.
You should.
So,
you should.
Yeah.
See if anybody ever. Well, there's a lot of Atlanta talk in the NHL, so maybe it would help get the mojo going.
What's the next city to get an NHL team? Whether move or even expansion. I can't believe they'd even think about it, but.
Yeah, I've heard a lot more about that than I thought I ever would in a long
me too.
time. Yeah, that it would go to 34 potentially down the road. I don't know. I mean, the Quebec City thing doesn't seem like it has as much interest as it should. Maybe with an arena already there, it seems like it's a lot of Houston. Maybe some Kansas City in there.
Salt Lake came out of nowhere. I don't know. As far as the next one, I would almost lean more towards the Houston one because it seems to be maybe the loudest in terms of the attention.
Yeah. And it seems like a really good fit, with a Dallas down there and another kind of southern team and obviously just a huge market. So I don't know if I had to guess maybe down there, but I don't know. I don't know what the timeline might look like. I think they really got to figure out this Arizona situation first and then see where that goes.
Well, okay. So Allie in Texas, by the way, I want to know, will the NHL work in Houston, Allie? You would know. You're there.
Exactly.
From WQEE Radio in Atlanta, Ryan O'Radio, he's producing the show down there for us right now. He says, NHL in Atlanta. He's all over it. I don't know if I told you, we're Atlanta's NHL radio show.
There you go.
There's nobody else talking about us. Yeah, now you just convinced me. I better go buy that jersey.
So so maybe we'll put Atlanta at the top of that list then. Atlanta going back
there's
to
a
Atlanta.
difference between what we think will happen and what we'd like to happen.
Sure.
What I think will happen is it'll be Houston.
Yeah, I agree.
What I would like to have happen is it to be Atlanta.
Yeah.
There is our guy, Dustin. Hey, Dustin, make yourself at home. Professional Chuck Wagon. We got it all going on here today. This is like a variety show.
Look at one comes in, the next is waiting.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. But Houston's got the arena already.
Yeah.
The Toyota Center there. I've been there. It's beautiful right in downtown Houston. They've had pro hockey there before, as has Atlanta.
Yep.
Todd in Red Deer writes in, he says, conversation like this is why this is the best sports show. Much more than X's and O's. Awesome. Thank you. I frankly get tired of the X's and O's talk myself, too. I know a lot of people don't, but I do. Let me flip this for a second to go to football.
One more on the
Please.
On the Texas front, though. Having spent a little bit of time down there, and Blake Coleman, obviously we went down.
Yeah.
The rinks are exploding down there now with kids playing hockey. We went down, visited them in the middle of the summer. They had in Plano, Texas, his hometown, the rink, double rink, twin arena, full with hockey players, young kids. It's a scene in Texas that is far different than even when the Dallas Stars came in. And that obviously thanks in large part to the Stars themselves. But that scene is exploding down there. And I think, you could make a really good argument for what that would look like, even for a little like Texas rivalry between Houston and
Canadian people don't understand what's going on. And by the time they realize that it's going to be too late. For instance, NHL All-Star festivities last year, South Florida.
Sure.
Rich Sutter was with me for a week. We're driving around, and he's looking. He's like, I get it now. Why you love it here so much. It's 31 degrees Celsius. You have NHL hockey. And not just the weather, but there was an NHL alumni game and Panthers alumni game that nobody even knew about. It wasn't on the schedule of events, per se.
Okay, yeah.
The Coral Springs Panthers ice den was bursting, exploding with people.
Yeah.
It might hold 1,500 people. There's probably 3,000 in there. And it was all South Florida hockey people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My friends whose kids play minor hockey. Panthers alumni. Nobody even knew what was going on.
Not people that flew in for the NHL All-Star break. Locals, yeah.
It was so much fun, and people wouldn't even believe that would be a thing.
Sure.
They don't.
Yeah.
Kevin Gallant is watching on Game Plus television in the Queen City. He's written us on the EMJ marketing text line. He is my broadcasting mentor. You know Kevy, the former voice of the Calgary Stampeders. Karen Franco says hi, by the way. Were you Franco then? Yeah. Karen says hi, Kev. They won a Grey Cup together in 1992. He says, is there a way that the Flames finish with the worst record in their division? Can I say there's no way?
I can't see a way that's the case.
Kevin.
No, come on now.
What's wrong with you?
You take that opinion back, Kevin.
Have you met Kevin?
I don't know.
You got two kids playing junior hockey, one in Moose Jaw, one in
I feel like
Estill.
I know the name.
He's a beauty.
Yeah.
Hey, he's the reason I'm in broadcasting, man. He's my favorite broadcaster.
Is that right?
All time.
There you go.
Thank you, Kevin. You know that. By the way, I wanted to talk football with you, and if we have time, we will. But with my predictions here, Atlanta was the toughest division in the NHL last year. 350 total wins out of that division, an average of 44.
Yeah.
The Metropolitan Division had 324 wins as a division, an average of 41 per team. Central Division was next, 323 wins combined. That's an average of 40.
Yep.
And then your Pacific Division was the weakest division in the NHL. 315 wins, an average of 39, and the Stanley Cup champion came out of that division.
100%.
What does that say?
I think that says exactly what everyone's been talking about with this parity thing, or like just get into the playoffs. It doesn't matter how it looks. If you're one of the top 8 on either side of the conferences, you got a shot at it. And Vegas, obviously, we knew they were a good team. But also, look, the strength of the division versus the bottom end of the division is pretty drastic, too. I mean, you look at the Anaheim Ducks, San Jose Sharks. They struggle to win games all season long. So then, obviously, your win total is going to be brought down as a division, too. But the top of that division was still pretty strong. And I think we saw that through the playoffs. Who gave the Edmonton Oilers the toughest run early on, too? I mean,
Vegas, yeah.
So, and LA off the top of they gave them a pretty good run in the first round, too. So, those are two teams that you weren't, thinking a ton about throughout the regular season. And then here we are. Vegas is cool as Stanley Cup champs.
That's why I feel it's time to start talking about this. And by record, by standings 1 through 8, it was Vegas, Edmonton, LA, Seattle, Calgary, Vancouver, San Jose, Anaheim. And Calgary was not the 5th most talented team in the division.
No. And there isn't a lot as of now that has changed with that team.
No.
Obviously, you lose your leading scorer, but you get a little bit younger. And I don't know that we've seen exactly the version of Jonathan Huberdeau yet that we're going to.
No, you haven't.
We haven't. And I think, obviously he's one of those guys. I spent a little bit of time with him this summer as well, and he was one of those guys saying the same thing that Flames fans have. This has been a long summer, and they don't want it to be that long moving forward. But, the one thing it does allow the team to do is separate things, obviously refresh some things, coaching staff, management. And then at the end of the day, you come back with a different perspective. And, I think it's a good one. I think it's a good perspective, but it's a healthy one, too. And I think we see a different version this year.
Was he heartbroken to leave Florida, or was he ready for a change? Or can you say, or do you know?
I think at the end of the day, it was probably a surprise when it happened. That took some time to wrap your head around because...
He said that publicly.
He said, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't something he had planned for or even thought of. I think, at the time they were probably talking contract extension closer to than it was trade. So it probably took some time to wrap his head around that because it wasn't in his playbook. He still had a year left on his contract. Most guys aren't thinking about that. But as he said to me this summer, it's a different feel this year because he knows what's going on. His new contract kicked in. He bought a house in Calgary. This is home. He loves the city. He had to figure some things out last year like anybody starting a new team. But it feels a little bit different when you have the whole summer to prepare for something that you're going into your second year with a team. You know the team, the players, the coaching staff. I know Husk is new as a head coach, but he was familiar with them all last season as well, and Craig Conroy. But it's home now. That's what he said to me is the big thing is the difference is that, he's established himself as a full-time Calgary guy, has put his roots in, he's put his feet in the ground here in Calgary, and he's ready to come back and make a difference. And I think more than anything, he is motivated as a player and as a person. He's always been that way, but he said to me that, he's motivated to come back and show everybody exactly who he is. And I take him for his word.
When I heard that he was going to Montreal in the summer, not South Florida, that told me that Florida's behind him. But, the more time I spend in Florida, I hear from people that have been there a long time, and they're like, I'm kind of over Florida. And I'm like, how could you be? Look around. You've been there. But that's them. You can't ever assume what somebody else is thinking,
you don't
right?
Know. And maybe, to each their own, right? I mean, maybe
exactly.
You spend that much time in one place and you're ready for a change.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah. Now, speaking of all that, the football side, I said I was going to ask you. The poll question... Let me just say this, and I won't ask your opinion on this unless you have one. It's Jonathan Taylor asking for a trade in Indy, and now has been given permission to seek a trade partner from the Indianapolis Colts. Our poll question is, do you think he will play for the Colts this year? It's brought to you by Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. 62% of respondents saying, no, he's done. He's played his last game for the Colts. I'm voting yes, he will, because the employees very rarely win these battles with the employer. Know what I'm saying?
When the regular season is as close
a couple
as
of weeks
it is.
away. Yeah, exactly. Okay, enough about that. CFL related. You talked about the Coyotes and their struggles and how long they stay there, and their attendance is terrible. You don't ever hear anybody talking about their owner struggling for money, and I don't think he is. So that's why with the CFL and the attendance, I hear it all the time, the empty seats. And I'm like, would you stop talking about it? Yeah. Because I don't hear any teams complaining about being broke. So enjoy the games, but you hear it all the time. And this is an unreal CFL market, man. When people find out how much time I spend in the league, they want to talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
There's just not enough talk about it.
Is some of that too, because we're talking about attendance, Arizona, they're sitting in a 5,000 seat arena right now. And all of a sudden we were talking about atmosphere last year, but is some of the CFL, the stadiums, like, are we in some big stadiums? Do we need to, like, what's the actual number? Is the number okay, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, like, is the...
What number? What do you mean? Average attendance?
Yeah, like the attendance number for most games. Do we need to focus more on the quality versus the quantity?
Quality of the game?
Quality of the crowd,
experience?
of the experience? Like, what are we worried about here?
The gold... I would like to think they're worried about making money.
Yeah.
Isn't that life?
Absolutely, yeah.
2000s, my heyday in the league, we are all in all the dumps. Irwin Stadium, Taylor Field, McMahon hadn't changed, but Ottawa was that, wildlife was in the stadium in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Every stadium was packed, Brendan.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with the bad stadium. Winnipeg Stadium. I used to argue with Bob Irving, the voice of the Bombers, about whose stadium was worse.
Yeah.
Ours in Regina or theirs in Winnipeg.
But now even the newer ones aren't sold out either,
right? So it's got nothing to do with the new
100%.
stadiums.
No, I think that's it. But it's like, do we have to rethink what... let's not worry about 35 or in Commonwealth 40, 50,000 fans. You have to make sure that whoever's there, it's the experience, and you have to make it worth coming to. That's what people are worried about now, right?
Yes, and
it's the
Friday
experience.
night, McMahon Stadium, they were honoring the 1998 Stampeders.
Yeah.
I stalked Jeff Garcia.
The man was
I was always 100 yards behind him, and I never did get to meet him. I'm like, God didn't want me to meet Jeff Garcia. But I feel like the Stamps are trying.
Absolutely.
I really do.
So
that's what I don't understand. Where's the disconnect?
Right. Yeah.
I'm asking you.
I don't know. I have no answer for you. I've thought about it. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know where the disconnect is. I don't know. I know it's a good product. I know that from our standpoint, everybody that I see, they put in the work to make sure that, you're doing everything possible to get people in there. I just think it's competition. I think there's just so much for people to go watch, especially in this city. And I can only speak for this city.
That's a fact.
There's so many options. I mean, whether it's your kids' sport, whether it's cavalry, whether it's surge basketball, whether it's hockey, everybody's got something they're selling to come watch.
You might have hit on it.
I think that's.
I haven't even thought about going to a cavalry game yet. That's the pro soccer team, but they're sold out every game, and they're first place in the division. I just got an email from the league last night. So
competition.
I don't know how you win that.
It's a different sporting environment. That's what I mean about, like, I think you have to reimagine what the attendance is now. You can't get fixated on the percentage of seats sold. It's about, like, making sure that you've got a really good and building fans. I mean, I don't think you can get wrapped up around sellout. I think it's like you have to have a good core fan base that you're catering to, and make it all experience based. Because I don't know, like, are the days gone of every single team selling out all their events? I don't know. It's spread out.
I'd like to think the Flames do.
Yep.
At a ticket price exponentially higher than all the other teams in this town. Brennan, I appreciate you so much for coming down. Enjoy the rest of the summer, and I will see you when you come through Florida
Yeah.
It is in the late winter, early
I was
spring.
gonna
Looked
say,
it up already.
I got to figure it out. I got to wrap my head around. I got to do some schedule planning, some dot to dots here.
Okay, well, make sure that South Florida's on it.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, good to chat with you.
Brendan Parker from Flames TV will be back to Century Downs Racetrack and Casino after this timeout on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Thank you, Rhino. We are at Century Downs Racetrack and Casino in beautiful Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and we've got a real treat for you. We've been talking for as long as we've been here, 5-6 weeks, about the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association World Finals, and they're finally here. And joining us to talk about it is Dustin Gorst, the pride of Meadow Lake Sask. Glad you asked. How you doing, Dustin?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm very happy to have you down here, man. Everybody's excited. Listen, you've known Karen a long time from Century Downs. She's a woman of her word. She said we were going to have drivers here. and here you are.
Yeah, we made her. We left early this morning from Rocky to make her, but we're here.
Okay, well, you got to tell me, it's been pretty crazy. Now, you asked if I was a Chucks fan, and I'm a Chuck Wagon announcer fan. Arnie Jackson is a real close friend of mine.
Yeah.
So he told me you guys went through a bit of a storm in Rocky this weekend.
Yeah, Friday night we rained out. It wasn't much the rain as much as the cold, and obviously the crowd wouldn't be there and it'd be hard on the horses, so they pushed races to Monday, which was good. Had a good turnout last night, but that just means a quick 24-hour turnaround. Everybody's moving in today, and then we start tomorrow night.
One thing Arnie said was that it was going to be a quick turnaround for the drivers, and here we are. But it is what it is, right?
Love it.
Yeah, you don't seem like a complaining kind of guy.
How else would you want it? Days off are good, but when there's the opportunity to race, let's race.
Okay, Dustin, before we go any further, just tell our viewers and listeners about you. Just your story. If you don't
I'm from Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan. Started out riding when I was 16 years old. Been driving for 9 years now on tour. I got 3 little kids, 2 boys and a girl. They travel with me and my wife. And we live on the south side of Meadow Lake, 40 acres, and I got a quarter lease land as well. So work full-time back home for the Flying Dust First Nation, very happily employed by them. I got 40 guys under me, and, life's good. I enjoy what I do, and proud to be doing it.
I was just going to say, it sounds like a beautiful life. So
it is. Like it's busy. There's no down moment in life, but both boys are in hockey now. Knox will be firing up this year, and so from here we go right to the rink, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I don't want to sit down. I want, when life's over, I want to say I was busy, and that we did it all.
And you're accomplishing that.
That's the plan.
So there's Dustin's story. Now, I can see the excitement in your eyes. Arnie Jackson was here, how long? A few weeks ago, Karen, and he was like, this is the NHL of Chuck Wagon racing. What's going to be at Century Downs, right? The best of the best. So explain what's going on here this week.
So the top 36 guys in the WPCA are coming down. This is our finals. This is a big one for us. This is on our WPCA tour. This is a top 2 stop on tour. Sunday wraps up with a big dash, and every heat's a big dash, so it's a big wind up there. They're going to crown the world champion as well. So this is a big one for us. This is a great place to find sponsors and host sponsors back at the barn, and they get to come and have suites. So this is a big money maker for each driver personally, as the sponsorship flows with the size of the show, just the way it is. And we're excited and don't want it to end, but I'm glad it's here. We're here in Century.
Well, explain, please. And I know tickets they don't struggle to sell tickets here at showpass.com, but there are still tickets available, right? There must be. Yep. Explain why this venue, you said, is your favorite venue.
Obviously, Century's taken care of me for lots of years, and I'm very spoiled and very appreciative of what we have. But at this venue, the grandstand is pushed up onto the racetrack, and the infield suites, usually suites are up high or they're off to the side. They're right on top of barrel 1 and 2. So the fan experience is the best it can be. And with running 4 to a heat, the top of barrel 4 is right where the fans are. So that experience. When you talk about, you guys were just talking about stadiums and stuff, sometimes them big stadiums are no good because they're pushed so far back from the actual action. And this is one of the places where we get up and close to the fans, and there's a couple like this, but this is one of the good ones.
So mud will fly into the stands, basically.
Or dust or dirt or whatever. Yeah, that's good. And obviously,
you don't want mud. Yeah.
Obviously, with the casino behind the grandstand, you might as well just come in and have a visit and enjoy yourself.
This is the place to be this week.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about that. Now, you asked if I was a Chuck fan. So, at GMC Stadium last year at Stampede, Karen now knows me. I'm going to go right down to the rail, so I did. But I also understand not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Right? That is very removed.
Yeah.
Is that the most removed stadium for Chuck Wagon?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Dawson Creek's a good one. It's like this. It's tucked up nice and high, and it's nice and close. Rocky Mountain House it's got the same idea, but these grandstands are pushed right up, and you want to be close. It's just like when you're at a hockey game, you can, as much as you can afford, you want to get pushed down nice
right
and
where
close.
The action is.
You want to be in it, and that's the beauty of this sport. As you're in the action, as obviously, and sponsors, and if you get the chance to host, you can bring them back to the barn, and there is no of that, the hustle and hassle of doing that. It is one of the best places to host, so it's nice.
You also said real Chuck Wagon racing here. Explain that.
I didn't mean that, but it's
No,
it's
well,
the
it's
truth
four
of
wide.
it. It's 4 wagons.
Yeah.
It's the way it's traditional. We turn we turn barrels the way they're meant to be set. So that's what I meant by that. It's what we run all year on tour, and this is why we don't want to change it for the finals.
I guess I didn't mean to upset anybody, but that would be like 3-on-3 hockey versus 5-on-5.
Well, what are you going to watch? It's just the truth.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So who are some of the drivers to be watching out for this weekend?
Well, it's Wagon and Labakine for sure. They're tied for first in the world, so that's exciting. I don't think we've had that close of a world championship tight. I know Glass is in there too, so 3 of the biggest names in the sport are at the top going for the world, so that's going to be exciting to watch. And then obviously they have the winter showdown, which top 12 guys run for $75,000. On top of that, every heat is actually a big dash on the last night, so they get progressively bigger throughout the night. So for even the guys not in the world race, it's pretty exciting, because if you can get to that heat 8 and you're in a $14,000 dash, well, isn't that huge? That's bigger than dash than half the shows on the tour. So this is a big one for us. This is one where you want to run good, want to stay clean, and make it count.
Well, now I really can't wait, and I just want to wind it up by saying my brother was a competitive rodeo cowboy, so I know the importance of sponsors, and you have a few. Is there some you can mention
actually,
today?
I'm very spoiled. I have a good group of sponsors that have been with me a long time. We got some new ones on board this year, but obviously Century and Grand Prairie Airport and Roker Link with Simsy and Jody Oliver down at Big Time Towing. We had a few new ones down in Lloyd at the NACC, and they're all fired up, and that's the beauty of our sport. Like no other, you can't go out to the Flames and the sponsors can't go down and talk to the players, and they don't get to see. And I can actually tell you, Karen will come back to the barn and I'll tell her why it went good or why it went bad, and they get to live the actual atmosphere of being in the dressing room. Yeah. So I'm very spoiled. All the sponsors I have get the vision. They have a good time, which is very important to me, and I am very spoiled.
Good stuff. Well, you earn it. You're a good person. You deserve it. Dustin, thanks for coming down, and good luck. I'll see you out there this week.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Come down for a visit.
Absolutely. Dustin Gorst, professional Chuck Wagon racer, here this week of the World Finals. We'll be right back with Overtime in a moment. You're watching live on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, WQEE Radio, and your favorite podcast platform.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Century Downs Racetrack and Casino presents the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association Finals. Be here when the wagons roll August 23rd to 27th. Single-day tickets and 5-day passes available at showpass.com. Century Downs, welcome to the winner's zone.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
As you see, we've been talking about it for weeks, and they're all getting set up for the World Finals. Professional chuck wagons rolling beginning Wednesday here. What a great chat that was with Dustin Gorst. Hey, I didn't even... Too busy with my head in the clouds. 902-518-3033. I haven't checked the EMJ marketing text line since way back at the start, so I'll refresh that. EMJ Marketing brings you our text line every day. They provide the right keynote speaker for your event. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com today. And Overtime, that's the segment we're in right now, is a presentation of our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes here in Calgary, where skill and fun collide. It's batting cages for hockey. You can find them at 28th Street Northeast, Overtime Hockey Lanes. We got to get down there before we bounce. Randy and Michelle, oh my God, it's Disneyland amusement park for hockey players. That's all I can say. 28th Street Northeast here in Calgary. The Toronto Blue Jays, who have won 2 in a row, open an important 3-game series tonight in Baltimore, trailing the Mariners by a game for the 3rd and final wildcard playoff berth. Lefty Yusei Kikuchi will be on the hill for the Jays. Grayson Rodriguez goes for the Orioles, who have won 3 in a row. From the MLS, the Portland Timbers have fired coach Giovanni Severese. Timbers parted ways Monday with the winningest coach in franchise history. Assistant coach Miles Joseph will take over on the interim. Golf, amateur Luna Liu of Burnaby, BC, was one of 4 players Monday to earn a spot in this week's Canadian Women's Open at Shaughnessy Golf and Country Club in Vancouver. Liu, who will be part of the 156-player field that tees off Thursday, carded a 1/71 in the final qualifier at Point Grey Golf and Country Club. And Sam Howell threw for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns as the Washington Commanders defeated the Baltimore Ravens 29-28 on a last-minute field goal. Preseason Monday Night Football. Monday's loss marked the end of a 24-game preseason win streak for the Ravens. The old record of 19 was held by the Green Bay Packers of the 1950s. This sports update is for Landmark Cinemas. In theaters August 25th, Gran Turismo. It's based on the unbelievable true story of a team of unlikely underdogs, a struggling working-class gamer, a failed former race car driver, and an idealistic motorsport exec. Together, they risk it all to take on the most elite sport in the world. Gran Turismo is an inspiring, thrilling, and action-packed story that proves that nothing is impossible when you're fueled from within. 902-518-3033, as I mentioned, is it's just you and me to the top of the hour, 5 minutes, and that probably seems to you like a long time. It ain't. So get your comments, and now if you want to reach me now. Buffalo Bill writes in from North Dakota. He says, great show today. Allie in Texas says, great show today, RP. The hockey talk is getting me excited for the new season. That's the whole idea, as my friend Johnny Athens says. That's the whole idea. That's what is great about these talk shows is it is a nice complimentary add-on to the games. We're all watching the games, but hype like this gets people going. Today I did my Atlantic Division predictions, and frankly, biggest reason is because I just couldn't wait to get Florida in there, the place where I reside. I got the Panthers number 2 to the Leafs in the division, and nobody's really arguing that. Tomorrow, I think we're going to go with the Metropolitan Division. Thursday, we'll go with the Central Division. I don't know, Winnipeg, convince me why you should get a playoff spot. And Friday, we'll wind it all up with the spicy, juicy, tantalizing Pacific Division. And I don't know if it's just because of where I was raised. But Flames, Oilers, Canucks, Golden Knights, it just seems to have the most pizzazz of any division. Ryan O'Radio writing in. Ryan O'Neill from the Radio Penitentiary morning show comes on just before us. Ryan O'Radio says, another great RP show, Atlanta's NHL show. I'm still waiting on Moose to get the golf shirts made. I think I'm going to be waiting a long time. I don't know how or why this came up, but Brian, is it Brian? BW? In Edmonton says the Arizona Coyotes are a tax write-off for the mega $1 million owner in Phoenix. Sure, but does that make it right? Like, all I'm saying is, and there's no doubt that I'm a CFL guy, but what most people want to talk about in this market of Calgary or across the country, and I saw it back in the day with junior hockey with the Pats, they'd rather talk about how bad the crowds are than what went on in the games. Then I'm like, I don't want to talk about the crowds, especially in the CFL where the teams are still functioning. So it's like Arizona. The teams can't get 5,000 fans a game, but nobody's talking about them being in financial peril. So until that day comes, I'm not going to talk about it either. Stephen in North Dakota says, enjoy the mountains in Florida. There are none, Stephen. Come on down and check for yourself. Ryan in Toronto says, another fantastic show. Thank you, Rod and team. See you again tomorrow. Ted in Red Deer says, in my opinion, the best thing that ever happened to the NHL is that they can make NHL quality ice at any spot at any temperature, not like the old days. And if you talk to anybody that knows anything about ice, let's turn the temperature in the arena down. Let's pump a lot of AC in here and see what that does to the ice quality. Lo and behold, last minute of play in the RP show. Brian, oh my God, Brian in Edmonton says, why go to Houston? They couldn't support the Arrows hockey team. Why would the CFL go to Ottawa? They failed twice. And now they've got one of the most desired franchises and best game day atmospheres in the entire CFL. So it failed before, let's not try again. It's not the type of attitude that I usually roll with. Allie, regarding the NHL in Houston, she says, I think it would work, but I personally don't want another Texas team. I am over the Dallas-Houston rivalry. I'm in the minority in that, though. I think if you ask the Dallas Stars, I would think they'd want the rival, but maybe not. I'm not sure. That's a really good point. Yeah, we're done. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern. Hey, Josh, right here on Game Plus and WQEE.
Who has more fun than us?